Some time ago, you may recall, Whitepointer done an upgrade on the 445 nub tub for the captain. We spent a fair bit of time and effort to bring this thing up to specs, and it was suggested back then that we should put it up against one of the boats I built, the Super Hornet, very similar boat. What we had was a young lad that I built one for recently. It's got a 115 E-Tech on it. It's only a month or so old, so we put that up against the 445. Unbeknown to Trav and the captain, we had another secret weapon built in the meantime. So on the day it was scheduled, we turned up, unbeknown to them, with this black boat that's parked behind me. Well, we've got a bit of a test on one of my Super Hornets up against the iconic 445F. So it'll be an interesting little concept. I'm fairly confident that we're going to obliterate the thing. We're running, it's probably a little unfair, we're running a 225 in the back of the Super Hornet. But it'll be an interesting thing. As I said, the 445 is a fairly iconic boat, and what we've attempted to do is build something similar but just up it a little bit. So today we'll tell. It looks like they're here waiting for us.
So here comes the Whitepointer now. It's white, 5 metre Super Hornet, E-Tech 115, old generation E-Tech, bad move, Humminbird. I think we're safe, Jack. I think aluminium console in the middle in a glass boat. This is Eric's gonna be very, oh my fucking God. What is that? Cancel everything, Jack.
A little overkill, running 225 horsepower. This thing's a hamburger with a lot. We started with a platform and pushed everything to the limit. But we've had a day out there today. The three of the boats are basically fairly similar. Years ago, I built quite a few 445s, and when you get the three of them together, mainly the only difference I can see, other than the 1,000,000 horsepower on the back of this thing, is these things are a little longer, a little wider, a little deeper. The 445 is still an iconic boat. There's no two ways about it, especially with the input that we tipped into it. It's brought it up to the specs of one of these things. It's hard to tell a difference. We jumped in and out of all the three boats throughout the day, and from my point of view as the boat builder, I can't tell a lot of difference. As I said, the main thing is there's a little bit more room in these. As I said, 225 horsepower on it. I wouldn't suggest that. We won't rate it. This is a weaponised version. It's a one-offer, 117 kilometres an hour. It's had everything put on it. As you can see, and it'll be explained later, it's got basically everything in it. But again, reverting back to, on a day like today, we had 25 knots, southeast probably. It pulls them all back into basically, you know, the same type of boat. If I built one for myself, I'd probably have a centre console. You've got to be able to stand up to drive these things. To drive the other two boats today and stand up in that rough weather, I think the centre console stand-up sort of version it lends itself to that. This thing, to sit down in it, sporty looking boat, and it'd suit, you know, a lot of people, no doubt. It's side by side, it's got a side console on it, and it's got a pillion seat next to it. But, you know, from my idea, I think I'd rather stand up. As an old ab diver and never had seats in any of my boats, I think I'd rather stand up and drive myself, especially when you're doing this speed and you've got 1,000,000 horsepower pushing you along. They look fairly similar, these three boats. The construction's a little different. The nub tub originally was an original Haines Hunter 445, built back in the old days, timber stringers, timber transom, timber floor. We removed all that. It's got a full set of fiberglass stringers, the same as this thing's got in it. It's got thermalite casting deck, thermalite floor, and two 19mm sheets of thermalite in for the transom. The white boat, it has two 19mm marine ply sheets for a transom, and it has a marine ply floor and casting deck. This weaponised version, this is full thermalite casting decks, thermalite floor, fiberglass stringers, and it's got the bulletproof transom, the full fiberglass transom, 38 layers of glass, as you've heard 100 times over.
Jesus.
So this thing is a pretty tough sort of build, but we've done that to accommodate that motor that's on the back of the thing. Don't expect any of the punters out there that you're going to get a build plate that'll allow you to run that 225 on the back of it. It's probably not going to happen. This is a one-off boat. We built this just to push everything to the limit so we could answer a lot of questions. I get asked, you know, how fast do they go and how much power can they handle and everything else. So we've built a boat to answer a lot of those questions, and that's it here. So they've got a tailor-made aluminium powder-coated trailer specially designed for this black boat. Probably not the cheapest trailer you can buy, but probably one of the best built. The guy that set this up and spent most of the time and effort on this is a lad, Jason Smith. If you get that camera into this boat and have a look at the workmanship that they've put into this thing, it's as good as anywhere. He's a great lad. He's been awfully helpful to us, and he goes out of his way to do the wiring and the fit up to the quality that we expect building boats like this. I'm not even sure what's in it. It's well beyond me. I know it's got a $6,000 stereo in it. The sounder, it takes up the whole screen on it. The technology behind the sounder and the stereo is way beyond me. I'm going to have to actually read out basically what they've fitted to this thing. There's a Simrad NSS 16 Evo 3. It has a AMR SS 175 HW transducer. The audio system in it's a JL MM100 head unit, LED speakers and a subwoofer, a V800 amp, an RGB controller, and a shitload of wiring. It's got underwater LED lights. It's got a Minn Kota electric motor with iPilot. That's a fairly impressive thing. I seen them use that the other day. They push the boat out, whistle it up, and it comes back to you and ties up at the wharf. It's got 4 batteries in it. It's got two starter batteries, and I noticed they've banged 2 batteries up the front to drive the Minn Kota. So yeah, there's probably half a ton of batteries in the thing as well. She's overloaded with all the bells and whistles. There's no two ways about it. We spoke to Shane from Deck Armour, and when we talked to him, I said, go your hardest.
Well, what we've done is we've tried to create a little bit of contrast. So in the pockets, we've gone a diamond stitch sort of upholstery design. We've got the brands like Whitepointer and the branding of the Super Hornet in the side pockets. And we also designed a little caricature of a Super Hornet with some flex and muscles, which is probably what this boat really is all about, is a small boat with a lot of power and a lot of go. Usually this amount of detail is in something that's about 8 metres long, and this boat, he's just gone off its head. It's some people, they want something plain Jane. This is to be noticed. He was looking for something that is really extreme and out there. It's a powerful boat, so our design reflected aggressive, tough nature to it. So we feel we reflected that in the design brief. So that's where the fun happens, is allowing us to have a bit of creative license.
That lad, he spent a lot of time designing that thing. It looks very impressive in it, I must admit. It's one of the best setups I've seen. You're looking at a Super Hornet, the same as the white one, with front and rear casting decks. They're including GST, they're $22,000. This weaponised version, it's a bit upgraded, and it runs, as I said, heavier layup, thermalite through it. You're looking at $25,000 for one of them. Then, you know, what's on the back of that and the electronic package in this. With the E-Tech and the trailer that Josh has purchased, we're looking at we're just under $50,000, $48,000 I think he's come in as a full package. The nub tub, the nub tub, Trav tells me they've insured it for $80,000. When they were first built back in 1979, they were worth $2,300. But so it looks like that we've tipped in at $75,000 worth of work into that thing. And as I said earlier in the piece, I could have built him a new boat for the effort and time that went into that 445. It's probably the best built and yeah, most attractive 445 going, but yeah, great boat. There's no two ways about it.